So here we go, everybody. This is the man. He is a grandson of the great Hank Williams, son of Hank Williams Jr., and I can say a guy who's done so much different great music in the last year. Hank III, how are you doing out there?
It's good, man. We're hanging in there, calling from Tennessee. So Tennessee and Hank III going hand in hand today.
I got to ask you, Hank, in the last year you were very busy. In 2011, what was that like? You had the 4 albums, Ghost to a Ghost, Gutter Town, and then my favorite, which I'm going to be talking about a lot, Attention Deficit Domination, and then, of course, the thrashy 3-bar ranch cattle calling. How was that in the last year, playing those live and just making those albums especially?
It was a lot of fun, man. It was a big challenge for myself to be able to take on that kind of project. You know, I don't know if I'll ever have that much energy or that much focus to mix, 60 songs or write 60 songs, record them, play them, and just have a good time. But it's been awesome out on the road, man. It's the longest I've played in my life. We're bringing all 4 different styles to the stage. We're doing, the country, the hellbilly, the doom, and the 3-bar ranch. So it's almost been like a new beginning for me in 2011 and 2012. Was starting Hank III Records, and to finally just to be able to have musical freedom and do what we do out there.
That's what I like to talk about here first. Musical freedom. You announced that these albums, they were released by you, but they were released through Megaforce, right?
Yeah, well, Henry Rollins back in the day, he's like, man, you got a good work ethic. You tour to tour, man, and, you just play music because you like playing music. And he's like, all you need is good distribution, and everything else is already in place. You don't really need a manager or all those things because, I don't know, I've always just known my sound, and I just do what I do, and the key out there is not being too big and not being too small, and that's, I think, where a lot of longevity comes into play, and, looking at the Melvins and the Reverend Horton Heat and all these bands that's just stuck with it throughout the years, and the underground knows who they are, but, you'll probably never see them on an award show or nothing like that, and it's just a little more deep. It's a little more real, it seems like.
I've been listening to you. I got to bring this up. My cousin Jenna, she's a huge fan. She made a CD for my dad when I was about in 4th grade. I was listening to Mississippi Mud at a young age. I loved all your early rockabilly stuff. Then as I got older, I'm a huge metal fan, and that's the thing is you, too, are a huge metal fan, which I've always liked. And my favorite right now I've been talking about, the last album that I think in the last year, 2011, was amazing. Attention Deficit Domination. The sound, the vocals, just everything about that whole album, the songs were amazing. How is making that album? Were you wanting to do that for a while?
Well, yeah, man. I've always been into slower rock. It doesn't matter if it's Black Sabbath or Pentagram or bands like Sleep or Buried at Sea. I've always loved pushing air a little more, and over the years, I've played so fast, and I just haven't really had that much of a chance to slow things down and get a little more weird on stage and to do stuff like that. And for me, it was a lot of fun. That vocal style is very important to me. I basically dedicated that record to Lane Staley because he was one of my heroes growing up as a singer. And man, you can just hear some of the influences. If it's some of Dale Crover's like drum influences, or just some of Lane Staley or Ozzy's vocal inspiration over the years. But it was a lot of fun for me. In the daytime I'd work on the country records, and then at nighttime I would start working on some of the doom and some of the 3-bar ranch. That's
awesome. And I got to bring this up because I play guitar, and I'm a huge guy. I've been getting into it. I've been playing about a year and a half, but I was listening to a lot this week to Sleeps Jerusalem. It's a great album. And I was listening to that, and I remember I saw your amps. You actually have Mike Pike's old green cabinets, right?
I've reunited. If you're a gearhead and you like history and stuff like that, I've reunited all the gear that was used on the Jerusalem records. So all of Al's bass gear and all of Matt Pike's old Mad Amp and Green cabs are all reunited through my live guitar rig. So basically, with their blessing, if you ever see my show, we always start off with a sleep song, and that's why we're just kind of paying respects on that tip. So I've been Matt has Pike and Sleep. They've been influences over the years, and I'm just honored to be able to have a chance to have their gear and to have it breathing again out there on the road.
And that's what I've always liked about you, your influences. You've performed with many musicians, ranging from David Allan Coe, Phil Anselmo. We got to talk about that. How is it working with a guy like Phil Anselmo and Super Joint Ritual, and you play drums in Arson Anthem? How is working with a guy that just has that stage presence, who I feel is in metal one of the greatest frontmen,
Well, he was always a hero of mine. When I was a teenager and growing up, Henry Rollins and Philip Anselmo were my two of my vocal heroes. And, Pantera was making their records here in town, so sometimes Philip would come out and see, Buzzkill was an old band I used to play in, and he would hang out at the shows. So, I only got to see Pantera in a 500-seat bar, man, growing up many times, and it just came to be one day. I was just in the right place at the right time to have the opportunity to be able to go out on the road and work with Superjoint, and then have some fun with Arson Anthem. And it was awesome having the opportunity and to be able to go out there and be on the Ozfest with Philip. It was way intense, man. Working with some of my heroes and sharing the stage with them.
That is awesome. Also, recently I watched the Bobby Liebling, the Pentagram lead singer documentary, and you are a big fan of Pentagram. You have the shirts I've seen you wear on stage, on video, and you have that sound too in your Doom. How has Pentagram been an influence on you over the years?
Well, some bands tour the road so much that they don't get to make records. Some bands only last 2 years and they have 1 or 2 albums to show for it. Well, Pentagram is one of those bands that over the years they were lucky enough to have all these different recordings and all these different demos and just so many different sounds coming out of them, man. And that's really struck a chord with me with just hearing the different phases of their life. And Bobby, he's been in a band from 1968 still to this day.
It's amazing.
It's just, I don't know, man. Some of those, you can hear the influences through the years if you hear a little bit of Jimi Hendrix and some of the guitar solos, or Bobby's voice is just cuts right to the chase. And, man, it was some really heavy stuff for back then. And I don't know, something about those recordings, and especially the old demos and the live shows, are just really spot on, man.